does it actually take to naturally cut down from 20% body fat down to 8% body fat? We're breaking it down phase by phase with exactly what steps I would take to coach a client to get this lean. Starting with 20% to 15% body fat, then 15% to 10% body fat, and finally 10% to 8% body fat. So let's start at 20%. This is where you've got a bit of a dad bod going on. You can make significant progress at this stage by doing 3 things. First, start following a structured training program that includes 10 to 20 working sets for each muscle group weekly. Training frequency can be as little as 3 to 4 times a week just to get things started. The second thing you'll need to do is eat at least 0.8 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. You need at least that much protein to repair muscle tissue after you've done your workouts. That's how we're gonna make sure that you're losing body fat instead of muscle. And 3, you need to make sure that your diet places you in a calorie deficit. Personally, I prefer to start clients off at a large 500 plus calorie deficit at this stage. The reason why is because your body simply has more body fat to lose at this stage, which means you have plenty of body fat that can be used for energy to fuel your workouts. We want to take advantage of that and get you down to 15% body fat as quickly as possible so you aren't staying in a large deficit for too long. Now, when you hear that, you might be thinking, won't I lose muscle mass if I'm in a big deficit? That's a valid question, and that would only happen if you're not eating enough protein or following a structured training program that includes 10 to 20 working sets per week for each muscle group. Now, if you have all 3 of those things in place, you'll get down to 15% body fat in a few weeks. Next, 15 to 10% body fat. At 15%, your abs are becoming very visible under good lighting. You're waking up with more and more energy every day, and you're starting to see plenty of definition in your delts, your arms, and your back. At this phase, you do not want to be in a large deficit for any longer. Most people can sustain a large deficit for a few weeks before it really starts to wear on you physically and mentally. So that's why you want to do 2 things in this phase. 1, reverse diet. You want to increase your calorie intake so you're at a more sustainable 300-ish calorie deficit. Now, assuming that you've kept all your muscle mass so far and you've cut down 5% body fat, your body weight is going to be lighter, which means your resting metabolic rate is going to be slightly slower. So the second thing that we need to do to offset that slower resting metabolic rate is increase your active calorie expenditure. We can do this by simply increasing your training frequency from 3 to 4 times a week to 4 to 5 times a week. If your schedule doesn't allow for that, you can increase workout intensity by introducing advanced training techniques like supersets, drop sets, cluster sets, forced reps, HIIT, long length partials, and more. When you do these 2 things correctly, with the added training intensity or frequency, and with the increase in food, your muscles are going to look fuller. And after 6 to 12 weeks, core definition is going to be very visible and you'll be down to 10% body fat. Now lastly, 10% to 8% body fat. This stage requires a lot of attention to detail. Sitting at 10%, you're going to look incredible, feel strong, and have plenty of energy. But if you want to cut down further and get shredded, you'll have no margin for error with your diet. Here, we need to go back to reducing calories instead of increasing calories. Now, below 10% body fat, you're considered unhealthy, and your hormones start working against you to try and get you to eat. Energy is now extremely low, hunger is now extremely high, and with less calories in your diet, your immune system begins to get compromised because you simply can't get enough micronutrients from your diet to stay healthy. So supplementing with vitamins and minerals becomes more important to avoid getting sick at this phase. Meal timing also becomes more important to manage hunger and energy levels. And training intensity and frequency needs to stay just as high as it was in the previous stage. As a result, your muscles are going to get to a point where they begin to look depleted. They basically begin shrinking and getting weaker. The tool to keep your muscles full and replenishing your energy and strength levels are refeeds. Refeed meals are used to restore glycogen stores within your muscles, giving them the fullness and strength back. Unfortunately, because this phase is so nuanced to every individual, with you having a different body, lifestyle, training intensity, experience, and schedule than everybody else, there's no cookie cutter way to calculate timing and portion sizes for your refeed meals. This stage requires a coach to keep a close eye on your progress and how your body's changing to give you the right guidance that's appropriate to where you're at. Now, if you want that extra level of support with implementing anything that we talked about in this video, Go to goalcrusheracademy.com to learn more about my one-on-one online fitness and nutrition coaching program that walks you through step-by-step exactly what exercises to do, how many reps, how many sets, how long to rest, and what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat to help you build your dream physique.